individuals 80 plus years old, all the way up to 101 years old, teaching them how to use things like Skype and Facebook to connect with their grandkids. And to me, it was just a side job at the time. But it did teach me a lot about compassion and patience and working with people and teaching. And so then when I got my teaching license and I accepted a first grade teaching job to start, I walked into a world of shock because I missed that technology aspect. The school district I was working for was extremely rural, very low budget, and the only computers in the school was a computer lab. Teachers didn't have iPads, laptops, nothing. And this wasn't that long ago, not that old. And I really missed that piece of bringing that excitement to learning. So I set out on a mission and started writing some grants for my school district and worked on developing some professional development to get technology into the hands of teachers. And that wasn't enough because once our teachers had Chromebooks, they didn't know what to do with them. So then it was we needed professional development, we needed training, resources, and support. So I continued on that path and became a technology integration specialist for a regional school district. So I've worked with children aged from kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. I've worked now in higher ed and college for both Boston University and Fitchburg State University integrating technology. And I've worked in assisted living with residents 80 plus years old. So I've literally helped use technology in learning from ages 5 to 101. So I've sort of seen it all. And I was a classroom teacher for about 8 years, teaching general education from grades 1 through 6. And I taught computer science for grades K through 12. So I have sort of a variety of different experiences. And one thing that I'm extremely passionate about is not just putting computers in classrooms, but using it effectively. So that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today. And we'll be able to explore some fun things together as well. So I want to hear a little bit about you. So it would be helpful if you just kind of tell me a little bit about maybe what your goals are, what you're going to school for, maybe something you're hoping to learn today, something interesting about yourself. So on your screen, you should have the ability now to write a little response, and that will sort of beam it over to me so I can see. And now if this was working, we would be able to see each other's thoughts as well. But I'll show you here. So from my side, just so you know from like a teacher standpoint, I see as everybody's typing, and so I can see sort of what you're submitting. And then if this were up here and you're projecting to your students, they could also see each other's ideas. Okay, so I see we have some elementary and special education. Are we all elementary and special ed? No. Psychology. Come on in. Welcome. How are you? Are you from IT? IT? Yeah. So we're just trying to put the follow-up. Just so we can present what's here. Yeah. We took the evening people out to connect their computers. So I was hoping to see what we're doing now. So I did. I'll just let you know. So it sounds like we have a variety of different backgrounds, but a lot of us are here hoping to learn some different resources that we can use in our future classrooms. I see we have some working towards psychology and maybe a guidance counselor. So what I really tried to pick today was some different resources that can be used in a variety of scenarios. So it doesn't matter if you're going to be teaching kindergarten, working with a small group with a guidance counselor, teaching high school. These are resources that you can use across the board. Okay, so now you have a drag and drop activity. So I want you to just think about how well prepared you feel right now in this moment to use technology effectively with future students. So very prepared, not too sure, or I need help. And so there's a blue dot at the bottom. If you click and drag, you can place that over, you can put it over the front of his computer there. And again, from the teacher standpoint, I can see as those dots are being dragged and how people are feeling. So cool. Yeah, I used to use this as like an entrance ticket in the morning, so it's like, how are you feeling this morning? And you could know right away which students were going to be giving you difficulties that day. And you could also use it as like a check-in if you're picking lunches. You could have like the 3 lunch options up on the smart board, and then when they come in, they can check in and pick their lunch options.
Can you see which doc is like for each of us? Or just
Yes.
So is this just within Pear Deck? It has this feature.
Yes, and Pear Deck is free. There's like, there's freemium and there's premium. So there's like a paid version that has a little bit more features and things like that. But this is just the free version. That's typically what I use. I try to get away with using as much free as I can. Mm-hmm. There are a few things I think are good enough to pay for. But.
So are these all like templates, or do you actually like create the design of these things?
Both. This one's a template. Okay. The previous one I had made. Yeah.
Cool.
So they have some pre-made ones for you, and then you can. The background can be whatever you want. So essentially, this is just a background, and even the drag and drop items. Like this is a blue circle, but you'll see later I have one that's a thumbprint. Cool. You can change even the drag and drop items and the color of them as well. And you can have more than one drag and drop item on a page. Okay, so for today we have 2 sessions. We have a morning session and an afternoon session. So in the morning, we're just going to do some quick introductions, which we just did. Talk a little bit about the purpose and objectives for today's workshop. Think about what exactly educational technology even is. Some norms and expectations you might find in your future classrooms or experiences. And then the really fun part, looking at some of the different tools of the trade, some different ed tech tools that I highly recommend that you might find useful or beneficial for your students. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the idea of failing forward, which is really important when we think about using technology with students, especially little ones. We'll take a break at 12 until 1:30, and then we'll come back and we'll have a little bit more of an exploratory time where we get to break out and do some different activities and actually play with the tools. And finally, you'll have some chance for questions and feedback, but at any time if you have a question, you can raise your hand. You don't have to wait till the very last part of the day to ask a question.
Oh, yay! Magic.
Thank you so much.
Grab a treat on the way out.
Alright, so we're going to forgive this video quality. It's a very old video, but I really like to show it. So why should we integrate technology into our classrooms? So this video is a perfect example of how I felt as a brand new teacher walking into classrooms and seeing the same thing that you would see in 1942, desks in rows, students paper pencil, no technology in sight. And again, it's not about just putting a Chromebook in front of students, it's about preparing them for their future careers and what kind of jobs they'll have. And we think about jobs today, they're not going to be sitting around with paper pencil too much, but we're not just preparing them for jobs today, we're preparing them for jobs 15, 20 years from now. They're out in the workforce, so who knows what we'll even look like then. So we can't be behind the curve, they can't afford it. So I'm going to show this quick video just to get us thinking about that idea. Glad we got this in time.
A new tourist destination in Auburn Hills, Michigan is showing visitors the difficulties life held for Americans in the past. Blockbuster Video aims to transport visitors to a time before the internet as an historically authentic recreation of a video store, a specialty shop where customers exchanged money for the short-term use of videos in an archaic system called renting.
The tour is amazing. It's like stepping into a time machine. It's hard to believe that people live this way.
A historical research team spent 3 years making sure every last detail was accurate, from the signs used to promote the store's merchandise to the costumes worn by the store's employees, historical performers who make history come alive for tour groups twice an hour.
My character is based on an actual Blockbuster employee named Jerome, who worked there from May of 1999 to June 2000. My main responsibilities are to man the cash register and to put the movies from the return slot back onto the shelves.
I am a Blockbuster customer named Kathy. 2 times a week, I travel 6 miles to rent and return videos. Oh, look, we're in the comedy section. What's so poignant about this time is the uncertainty. When you get to the Blockbuster, are they going to have your video? Did someone else rent it? Is there going to be a line? Are the alarms going to sound when you walk out the front door? It was very difficult for the people that lived during this era.
Actors say their job is to create a historically authentic experience.
Yes, we have it, but our only copy is currently checked out.
After the organized tour, visitors are allowed to move around the store, exploring the so-called living museum.
It's really amazing that people had to go through so much just to get a movie.
Blockbuster joins a growing number of historical tourism sites, including Buffalo, New York's recreation of Virgin Records Music Store and Iowa City's Borders Bookstore Museum.
So, anybody have any clue why I would play that video? A video about an old video rental store. Why would I be showing that video right now? Any thoughts?
When we don't use technology in the classroom, so it's like we're like you said, 1942, something one of those with papers, pens, like same kind of idea.
Exactly, and just because something happened for a really long time or worked in the past, right, that was the best solution we had at that time, doesn't mean it's the best solution that we have currently. I am not, I definitely remember going to the video store, and I remember the pain of going there and they didn't have a movie that wanted to rent, and now it's like 4 clicks of a button and you can rent anything you want, and it can't be sold out or anything like that. And so moving forward is about finding better solutions, and so that's what we have to do for our students, because our students deserve that. Okay, so this all sounds great, but we haven't mentioned Google, G Suite, or any technology at all. So one thing I want you to take away from today is that technology is the vehicle, it's not the destination. It makes this work possible. It's really the ideology behind it. Well, when we're using technology, it's to enhance teaching and learning. It's not just so that students are, pressing buttons on a keyboard or that they're engaged because it's shiny. We want them to use it because it's going to enhance their learning and make things that were impossible possible. For example, we can have something be a replacement for learning, right? We can write with paper and pencil, and we can give somebody Word, type of Word document. And that's not really enhancing learning too much. I mean, there's some features of Word that you don't have with paper pencil, but it's really just a replacement for a paper pencil task. A redefinition of learning is when a student is able to go on to something like Padlet we'll talk about today, and they can post their writing, and they instantly have an audience to give them feedback. They might even be able to connect with people from another state or even another country. We can't do that instantly with paper and pencil, so that's a redefinition of learning, making things that were physically impossible before possible for students. And this is just one of my favorite quotes that I kind of live by, is if we teach today as we taught yesterday, we rob our students of tomorrow. And so that's sort of that conversation that we just had. If we keep teaching the same way and doing the same things, we're not preparing them for anything innovative. We're not preparing them with 21st century learning skills. After our work together today, you will have an understanding of the importance of effective technology integration. You will be able to apply technology integration models to enhance student learning. Have a basic overview of several high-quality educational tools, because there's so many out there. I want to just share with you some that I highly recommend that I've used in my experience. And think about how this might look in your future classroom. Okay, so one thing I come up a lot when I work with veteran teachers, there's a lot of resistance with veteran teachers to use technology in the classroom because they think, sometimes that they've been doing something a long time and it works, or they don't want to change, and so there's that resistance. And I wasn't prepared for the fact that I would have to be this breaking down these walls as a brand new teacher. As a brand new teacher, there's a lot of things on your plate, there's a lot of things you have to learn, and you'd think that when it comes to technology integration, you'd be learning a lot from veteran teachers, but you'll find that's not the case. You're going to be sharing a lot with them, and you're going to have to do some convincing. You're going to be showing them new things, and they will be excited by it. They're always excited by new teachers, inspiration, fresh ideas, but you're going to be bringing that to them. There's going to be a lot that they'll bring to you, but they're going to look to you for those. Well, what do you recommend? What do you use in your daily life? Technology is something you're going to bring to the table. This is a quick video to think about. Even though you might see students, they might look like they're fooling around on a computer, they might look like they're talking too much. Classrooms today, again, they shouldn't look like they did 30, 40 years ago. So we're going to watch this quick video, and this is one that I like to show when I work with veteran teachers, to think about the fact that what you see is not what is always actually happening. And you'll notice I use a lot of quick, short videos. They're a great warm-up activity to get students thinking, and they're a great way to sort of engage your learners in an idea in sort of an abstract way. We're also going to talk about video ads later. I have a trick for this. I especially love the Disney Pixar short films that have no talking, because students really have to make inferences and think about what they see, and then they provide good opportunities for discussion. So the whole time she thought, he was stealing her cookies. He was actually sharing his cookies with her. And the thought behind that, the reason I share that, is because a lot of times when we're working with teachers and we're thinking about integrating technology, it gets a little crazy. It's not what they're used to, and that's where the change comes. A lot of times, in the past, students would be sitting and working silently on something for maybe 30, 45 minutes. And when we use technology, it's just inherently louder. Students talk more, there's noise coming out of their computer, and so a lot of times we'll think if there's noise in the room, students aren't focused, they're not engaged, they're not learning. And that's simply not true. If you walk around and you listen to students and you make sure that you have, some control over your classroom and you have expectations. Students, there can be noise and students can be learning. And if they're talking about what they're learning and they're listening to something, interacting with it, it's just different than what was happening before. The other thing I find with these silent videos that don't have talking is students pay attention to them a lot better than when there is talking. Because I know I'm very guilty of it at night. If I'm watching, I just throw a show on and I pick up my phone and I'll look at my phone, but I'll listen to the audio. And you can't do that with something that doesn't have the audio. You have to pay attention or you won't know what's going on. Okay, so my next question for you, you should have a text page on your screen now, is what is educational technology or technology integration? Don't worry about having a right or wrong answer. I'm just curious what your thoughts are about these definitions.
I'm still on the last.
Yeah,
It is, yeah.
But it also said like halfway through the video, it was like connection loss.
Okay.
I have it.
I know we were having some internet issues. Try refreshing. Has it gone now? No?
I have nobody
Should I hop in back and forth? Yeah.
else. Yeah, might as well go back and forth.
It is? So it's just not everybody? Whose is not on the screen?
Yeah, I don't watch
No,
it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I can't fix the internet.
Oh,
wait.
I got it. Wait, no, it's gone. Wait, why did it take me out? Hang on, I'm back. Yeah, so a lot more good now. I think half the screen.
Oh, why does it look like yours, JT? Mine has like the question thing on it.
Where'd you get that? Oh, I
That was
found
like
it.
this. Not exactly.
Yeah, that's a future one.
Alright, I'll refresh.
Yeah.
Send it out of the future one, get it out of the
You're not in the future. Oh,
Not even in anything at all. I'm in the dinosaur game for the Wi-Fi.
That's always a good sign.
I got it. It came back on.
oh.
Wait, now.
Yeah, try
Did it just send anyone else back to Google?
if you get kicked out, you can always go back to joinpd.com and enter that code. It will bring you right back to the same screen. Yeah, so I would try that if yours is still not loaded. Okay, so now you should have that split screen. So you have that on your side now?
I have this.
Yeah. Okay, so you should be looking at a Padlet page. So off to the side of your page, you should have, it looks like a chevron pattern, and then there's a pink plus icon in the bottom right corner. So if you click that, you can actually make a post on that page, and you'll be able to see one another's posts as well. When you make your post, you can type your idea, you can sketch your idea, you can record audio if you want. There's video, screen recording, there's all kinds of different options for how you share. I think in a room like this, it's probably easiest to type it, but you have some options there. And we will be talking about that tool as well, Padlet. That's probably my absolute favorite tool because it's so versatile. There's so many different things you can do with it. So it should look like this.
Yeah, it won't. It
It won't search anything.
Ooh, I'm gonna like. I can like the post.
So those are some different features. We'll talk about that when we get to Padlet, but there's features you can turn on for students to comment on one another's posts, like posts, vote posts. And my favorite feature is that you can require an approval. So, for example, when I taught middle school, high school, you wouldn't always necessarily want what a student's going to write to go live for the whole class right away. So you can have to approve a post before it goes live. I did not do that for you folks, I trusted you, but working with certain populations of students, or you know your students, you might want to have that turned on. So we educational technological tools that can be implemented to enhance teaching and learning. I love that. I love that we're using that word enhance student learning. Teachers don't. And the use of technology for learning purposes. Anybody still not able to get on? A couple of you. It is fun. I know when I first came in, I had to keep refreshing it. Educational technology is the technology we can use to facilitate learning in a fun and effective way. I think a lot of people are afraid of that word fun. You know, my first year teaching, if you said you were doing something that was fun, it was like, no, you can't do something that's fun. It has to be about learning. But fun can go hand in hand with learning.
It should.
It should. It's not a bad word. All right, so I'm going to hop back to the presentations, and we're going to talk more about this platform later. And I have a couple of definitions to share with you. So EdTech is a study and ethical practice for facilitating learning and improving performance by creating, using, and managing appropriate technological processes and resources. So again, it's that enhancing, that improving, that's really important. It's not just replacing. And true technology integration is not the presence of technology in a classroom. It is the effective use of technology to not only enhance, but redefine learning experiences. A Word doc, talked about this, might be an enhancement to paper pencil writing in some ways, but Digital Pen Pals provides an audience, purpose, motivation, and opportunities for global community building. So using technology to redefine what learning can really look like. So when we think about technology integration, there are a variety of different learning models and implementation methods that you can think about. This is one that's tried and true that I always think back to. So we have 4 levels of technology integration. The most basic being substitution. So this is the SAMR model. And substitution it's a substitute for what you were doing without technology with no functional change. Again, going from paper pencil to a Word doc. I would argue Word doc has a little bit of functional change, but it's still basically the same activity. Another example would be, a perfect example would be printing out an article for a student to read or sending them to a website to read the same article. Right? That's the same exact activity, you're just using a computer to do it. Moving up the ladder, we have augmentation. That's when the technology acts as a substitute with a little bit of functional improvement. So that would be something like maybe when you're using Word and they're able to have some accessibility features that they might need. Or maybe they're able to embed some images to show what they've learned. Modification is technology that allows for significant task redesign. So that would be something like we were just doing on Padlet, where you're able to post and everybody in the class can see it at the same time. Right? If I'm writing on a piece of paper and I want everybody to see it, well, now I have to go pass it around the room to everybody, or we all have to go hang it on the wall and do like a gallery walk. Whereas something like Padlet makes it a little bit more instantaneous and a little more collaborative. And lastly, that highest level is redefinition. It allows for the creation of new tasks that were previously inconceivable or impossible. So again, being able to instantly connect with somebody in another state or in another country, being able to, instead of just creating a poster about something you learned, record a screen recording or create a video, things that you weren't able to otherwise do. Technology is an enhancement for learning, not a replacement for learning. When you think about using technology in the classroom, always start with your learning objectives. That's your job as an educator. Think about the outcome. What do you want kids to be able to do or understand? And then think about how technology will enhance that process. So I have sort of this yes statement and no statement. So when you're thinking about using technology, you can say the kids will be able to, there's your objective, and we will use this technology to support this objective because. This is the one you want to stay away from. We will use this website, this tool, this fun, shiny thing, so the kids can do X. That's that backwards thinking. We don't want that. We don't want to just use technology because it's there. We want to use it to enhance our learning. And that's what I was finding as a new teacher is we were giving teachers Chromebooks, and it wasn't their fault. They weren't getting those support and resources to know how to use them. And so what you'd see a lot was, okay, here's 30 minutes of computer time. And then students would be playing games on the computer because that was their computer time. Or it was an afterthought to learning. And we want to be more thoughtful than that, and that would be a missed opportunity. So always start with a goal in mind. What do you want students to know or be able to do? What will success look like? And how can technology enhance or help to meet those outcomes? What tools will best support, modify, enhance, or redefine this learning experience? So we talked about this a little bit, that we are going to find a variety of scenarios where you work. So, you can't think about what you're going to expect because it's all going to be different. Every school I've ever worked in is completely different. I've worked in schools, like I said, that have absolutely no technology other than a computer lab in the building, and I've worked in schools that every student had an individual Chromebook and there were iPad cards in the room, and then also thinking about resources. Just because a school is one-to-one, which means every student has a Chromebook, doesn't mean they know how to effectively use them because they might not have the support. Other districts have technology coaches and integration specialists to support you in using that technology effectively. So you're going to find a variety of different things, and what I would encourage you to do is not be afraid to be a trendsetter. Just because you're working with a teacher who uses technology 30 minutes a day for the same thing every day, doesn't mean that's a best practice. So don't be afraid to say, hey, well, look what I've learned how to do, and we should try this with our students, and break down those walls. You can be a great model for other teachers in that aspect. Okay, so my next question, so this is a draw activity. What ed tech tools have you heard about? So you can try to draw a picture of the icon that you might have heard about, or you can just sketch the word if you're not comfortable with that. But I just wanted to show you some of the different things Pear Deck could do, and I was having a chance thinking what you could draw a picture of today. So, well, maybe they could draw an icon. You will be graded on your artwork. If you did have an iPad card or anything like that, this is a great activity for that because you can use a stylus. Oh, one of my other favorites. We're going to talk about that today.
Can you erase?
No, there's an eraser.
Yeah.
Oh, fine.
Now, this is what, like I said, this is called Pear Deck. There is a similar program called Nearpod. Pear Deck takes over Google Slides, so you don't have to do anything special. It just goes as an add-on feature to a Google Slideshow. Nearpod is like its own platform, so you only make the slides in there and it only works through there. So I prefer Pear Deck because I sometimes use those slides in different ways, and I don't always use the Pear Deck add-on. And so this presentation could function as just a normal Google Slides presentation if I didn't turn on Pear Deck when I used it. Whereas Nearpod only functions in Nearpod. But they do have similar features with being able to draw and write text and all that. All right, so I have Flipgrid.
I didn't show up. But I did draw.
Yeah, mine's not.
It's not up. Let me refresh. I'm sure it's an internet thing. When I refresh and see how we do. Oh, it's because I have to scroll. Oh, Kahoot! We're gonna talk about that. Squadster. Yeah, that one's not on my list today, but I have used that. Is that Kahoot?
Yeah.
Yeah, good icon. And Edutopia, cool math games. We're gonna step out of the cool math games. And I don't know what Live is. Live? Yeah, I've never heard that one. Kind of like a portfolio. I'll check it out. Vine one. That's like animation, right? Yeah, I've used Powtoon, which I think is like really similar. All right, great. Well, we definitely have some. So, how many people have heard of Flipgrid? Or how many people have used Flipgrid? Yeah. Okay. Cool. How about Kahoot? Who's used Kahoot? How about GimKit? Anybody heard that? Oh, good. Okay. So this is something I made when I was working in the classroom. Again, when we're thinking about what we want students to be able to do, sometimes it can be overwhelming with all the different tools that are out there and websites. And especially they're changing every day. And even myself, who uses them all the time, I'm always hearing about a new one. So it's nice to kind of have a way to think about which ones you want to choose for which activities. So this one is sort of like a wheel of pedagogy, kind of like Bloom's taxonomy. So if I want students to be able to create, I can go to that purple pie piece, and I can think about the tools that will help them create something versus a tool that might help them analyze something, evaluate, understand, or apply. And you will have access to this slideshow at the end. I did create a bit.ly link, a link that you can write down so you can keep this slideshow, and you'll have all these resources as well. All right, so now we're going to explore some of the different tools. A very quick G Suite chat, and then we'll talk a little bit more about Flipgrid, Padlet, a tool called Edpuzzle. I didn't hear that. No. Gimkit and Kahoot, and then what we use today, which is called Pear Deck. Okay, so I'm sure most of us are pretty familiar with Google Apps for Education. There are a lot of them. Some less familiar ones are things like Google Forms and Google Keep. If you've never heard of Google Keep and you don't take away anything else, just use that in your personal life. It's amazing. It's an app you can use on a computer, but you can also download the app on your phone, and it's sort of like a list app. So I like keep lists for everything. I'm one of those crazy people, but it's very visual. So you can have like picture lists, and you can have text-based lists, and you can check things off as you do them. And you can also, if you have like Google Slides open, you can have your Google Keep open to the side. I can show you that. Yeah. So this is my Google Slideshow. So this little light bulb app, which is always in what I call the Google Waffle. If you hop through Google Waffle, it's that light bulb app called Keep. You can open that up to the side. Let's see my Disney list over here, but so you can have different notes. So I'll do take a note, and so you can title it like to do or shopping or lesson planning, whatever it might be. Like I said, I use it in work, education, and personal life. And then you can make a list of things. You can change the background, the colors, and so it's a really helpful thing. And I like having it on my phone, having quick access to it. And students can use it. So I've had students use it to make a list of their goals or to keep track of things they have to do in the classroom or for a planning document. There's a lot of different uses for that one. Some of the more commonly known G Suite apps are things like Gmail, probably Google Calendar, your Drive, Google Sites. So if you're working in a school that has adopted G Suite, and you'll become a lot more familiar with some of these tools, we're going to explore them a little bit more hands-on this afternoon, but I did want just to give you a quick overview of the G Suite apps and dive into some things that are a little bit more fun. So Google Classroom is a way to help you create and organize your assignments. You can improve your communication, streamline feedback with your students. And the nice thing about Google Classroom is you can weave together a variety of not just G Suite apps, but other integration tools as well. Things like Flipgrid integrate right into Google Classroom, so students don't have to log in multiple times. And I did include here a getting started guide on how to use Google Classroom. That is extremely helpful. So that's a clickable link. So when you write down the link to this presentation, you'll have access to that later. All right, so first up we have Flipgrid. So I know most of you said you've heard of Flipgrid, but if you have not, it's a discussion board tool, but instead of interacting text-based, students post video responses. So you post a prompt, and your prompt could be a video or text-based. So you might say, reflect on the book that you've read, or demonstrate your work on this math problem, and then students respond with a video. And they're always upgrading their features. I know last year they upgraded, so now you can also post screen recordings. So students can screen record right on Flipgrid. They don't have to create it somewhere else and download it and save it. So they can show a presentation that they've done. They can open up and share like a math problem that they're solving. So it's a really beneficial tool. So I'm going to just share this quick little video for students about how to get started with Flipgrid. It just gives a little overview about the platform for those of you who have not used it.
Welcome to Flipgrid, a video discussion experience from Microsoft. In this video, we'll provide everything you need to know to get started as a student. First, you'll need to access your class topic. Click the link or enter the code you received from your educator on the free Flipgrid app or on any computer with a webcam via the Microsoft Edge or Google Chrome browser at flipgrid.com. Log into Flipgrid using your school account by clicking the Microsoft or Google login. Read the topic discussion prompt. You can click this button to launch Microsoft's Immersive Reader, which provides powerful reading assistance. Watch the topic media, explore any links, and then, when you're ready, click to add a video. Flipgrid's camera is filled with powerful tools to help tell your story. You can add a filter, frame, text, emoji, ink, and draw on the board. You can upload images or even videos from your camera roll. Record, review, and re-record as many times as you would like. You can screen record and stitch together multiple clips. When you're ready, click Next, snap a selfie, and then click Submit. Watch videos from your peers here, add text or video comments, and review feedback from your educator. And remember, you're incredible. You're smart, you're kind, and you are important.
And one thing I really love about Flipgrid is it's completely free. There's no premium version. It's free for educators all the time. And another nice feature is when they were showing you those filters, there's one filter that students can choose that pixelates them. So sometimes you'll have students who are a little bit camera shy, especially your younger friends. And that's a good segue. I mean, eventually we'd love to work up to having them share their full face, but if they can pixelate themselves, sometimes they'll feel a little bit more comfortable. Flipgrid is actually one of those tools that really sold me on the effectiveness of integrating technology. I remember when I was teaching 4th grade, I had this one student who, I swear, never spoke a word. She would never raise her hand. She was a very bright girl, very kind, but she never, ever wanted to raise her hand or share. She would talk to me sort of in the hallway in a very quiet voice, but if we were in the room, she was, just silent. And the first time we ever used Flipgrid, she asked if she could record in the hall, and I said yes, and she went out into the hallway because we had sort of built that trust. And I watched her video later to provide feedback, and I was just completely blown away. There was a completely different student on that screen. She all of a sudden had life and personality and vibrance, and her video was like 3 minutes longer than it was supposed to be. And so when I asked her, what was the difference? People are going to see this video, It wasn't. She said she's not afraid of speaking in front of other people necessarily because she doesn't want people to hear her. She's always afraid people she says is going to be perfect. And so she liked this tool because she could record herself as many times as she wants and know that when people saw it, it's what she really wanted to say. She would just get nervous about what she was going to say in the moment. And so that's where I'm coming from when we talk about redefining learning. That made something possible for a student who otherwise wouldn't have shared. There's a lot of different ways to use Flipgrid. These are some of my favorite ways. You can use it as an icebreaker in the beginning of the year and have students introduce themselves. You can use it as reflections on what they learned from a lesson, exit ticket prompts, little student TED Talks, showing what they know, or a pre-assessment. I find them really effective for a pre-assessment because a lot of times students get stuck writing about something that they haven't learned about for a couple years, but as soon as they talk about it, it starts coming back to them. Things like aha moments. It's great for student presentations because, like I said, they can record themselves, but also they can record their screen. So if they made like a Google slideshow, then they're able to record that and post it, and then their peers can comment on it. Asynchronous office hours. So if you're working with students in station rotations, or you have some small group work happening and students want to ask you a question, you'll find it's really hard sometimes to answer those questions in the moment. There's a lot of different strategies, classroom management strategies. But one thing that I like to do is have a Flipgrid page that was dedicated only to questions. And so they could go on and post their question, and when I had a chance, I would check it, and I could respond back with a video. And they could post that for homework and things like that too. And then conferencing, so you could even use that for parents that aren't able to come in for a physical conference. Sharing literacy reviews, math talks, and student portfolios. Each student could have their own Flipgrid page and keep a collection of their work. This is some information on how to get started. We'll explore this in our afternoon session, but again, it's completely free to sign up for an educator account. You would create groups for your students, so you can do like per class or per small group, depending on how many students you're working with. And then within your group, you'll create different topics. So you might have, like I said, an office hours topic, a literacy reviews topic, however you want to organize it. And then share it with your students. There's a direct link that you can send them, or you can share it to things like Google Classroom. And definitely, if you're going to use it with your students and they haven't used it before, then your first activity should be something really low stakes, just something like talk about a pet that you have at home or something you did over the summer, so that they're not worried about, and that's any ed tech tool, they're not worried about trying to learn the tool and a complex, challenging activity at the same time. It should always be low stakes the first couple of times they use something. And then I also just included here for you a link to the Flipgrid tutorial video playlist. So that's on YouTube, and they're all created by Flipgrid on different things that you need to know to use it. A podcast on engaging students with Flipgrid, and 9 kind of unique creative ways to use it. And again, this will all be available for you after today, so you can have access to that. All right, so think about one way maybe the population of students you're hoping to work with. One way you might use Flipgrid in a classroom. Hopefully your screens are caught up with me. We have sharing answers and thoughts, an icebreaker, using it as an introduction tool, assignment reflection, share what they learned about a topic, like a PowerPoint, yeah. Present on an idea or an article. And kids love that, they really do, because it's like, you know, I know my 13-year-old like lives all day watching YouTube videos and people's reactions, and basically that's what they're doing, but it's to what they're learning in the classroom. There are a lot of different creative uses for it out there, of different ways that people use it and things that you would never even think of. All right, so that brings me to our next tool we explored a little bit, but we're going to dig a little deeper now. So Padlet is a digital bulletin board that is extremely easy to use and probably the most versatile tool I know of. When it first came out, it was just little sticky notes, and you could just post text in it, and that was it. And now these little sticky notes can do so much. So we're going to actually explore that in a second. Students can post, share, collaborate, respond, and more. So that's where we're just posting those thoughts about educational technology definitions. So what I want you to do is hop back to, I'm going to give you the link for it. We'll hop back to this one. So it's Padlet.com/Megan Rose. It's my full name. So MEAGAN. It's really small up there, but MEAGAN ROSE 3508 / this is important, it has to be capital, FP, capitalized FP, and then EdTech is lowercase. That should bring you back to this page here. I just want to have you take a few minutes to kind of explore the different kinds of posts you can make. So, originally, what you see here, these sort of these white and blue Post-it notes are all you could do on Padlet when they first came out. And I still used it and enjoyed it, but now students can sketch, they can post images, they can post videos, they can post screen recordings right on here, audio files, they can upload documents on here. There's literally, you could do absolutely everything right here. And it's super easy to get students on it and to teach them how to use it because it's only a couple of button clicks. So as a teacher, you would set up the page and you can choose the background, you can choose the title, the prompt. And again, there's some features here. So if I go to settings, I can decide if the author's name is going to be displayed, if posts are going to show up first or last, are comments going to be allowed. So for reactions, we can choose like, that's what I usually pick. But we could do grading, voting, stars, or no reactions. We can require approval.
Can you say that again?
Yeah.
Just one more time.
Yep. So it's Padlet.com / my name's weird, MEAGAN ROSE 3508 / capital F, capital P, lowercase EdTech. Got it?
Yeah. The slash was the wrong way.
Oh, it happens. And then lastly, we have content filtering. So that's where I said you can require approval. So that comes in handy depending on your student body, or even sometimes it's just nice to see what students are sharing. It will send you an email before it goes live, and you have to approve it. And then lastly, we can also choose to filter profanity. If you're requiring approval, you don't really need to select that because you would just not approve the ones that have profanity. And you would reach out to your student and ask them to submit another post. And there's some, some customizations. You can change the wallpaper and the font, things like that as well. And then sharing it, I always recommend when you share a Padlet page that you do secret. Privacy is secret. And so what that means is nobody could search this on the internet, nobody could find it. The only way to get to it is if they have the direct link that you send them. So if you click on the compose to post icon here, this pink icon, you'll see that there are several different options. So we can upload a document right here. We can take a picture, that's the second option. The third option is to post a link to another website. So I've actually used Padlet just as like a resource hub. So you can have a list of different maybe math pages that math websites that students are allowed to practice on, and they can come to the Padlet page and sort of all of the websites they need are here, and they can just click on them. It's also a great way to have students share resources. They can keep track of resources they're using for a project. So you can post links right here. And then image search, that would pull up like a Google image search. Then we have the ellipses, so the 3 dots, and we click that, that's more. You'll see there's a whole variety, I'm going to say allow here, a whole variety of other options. So again, we can do a screen recorder. It is a giant hassle sometimes working with students to do a screen recording because typically they would have to use something like Screencastify or Screencast-O-Matic if you ever use that. And when you're working with younger students, that can be a challenge because they have to learn how to use, that's a pretty complex tool for a younger friend. And then not only do they have to learn how to use that and make their screen recording, but now they have to also share it with you. So they have to figure out how to save it to their computer, upload it somewhere else. It's a much bigger process than if they're just coming here and they're able to just click this button, record it right here, and it posts. They don't have to worry about saving it, sending it, or any of that. And it's a very simple tool. We have to prompt to use it. And then location. So this is great if you're working with social studies or history. They could actually pin a location and then talk about it. We could use drawing. I don't use it too often because I find it really hard to draw with the mouse on a computer, but it is nice for showing your work on a math problem or a very quick sketch. Maybe you're just doing like a quick plan about something. I don't think I would use it in art class. Maybe if I had the right tools to draw with. But. And then there are some other options as well. We can actually link to another Padlet page. So I have actually done that. So I've had like a class page, and then there's Padlet pages for individual students linking to things like student portfolios. So again, the classroom would all have access to the main page, and then they could visit each other's work. They can like it, they can comment. If you're doing comments and things like that, you might want to make sure you're moderating it and students are being kind. And then down at the bottom, we can include, images and GIFs and YouTube videos and things like that. There's really not anything you can't put on a Padlet page that I've found. And this is one of those tools, though, that is freemium. So it's free to have three Padlet pages. So this would be one Padlet page. So if you have more than 3, you have to get a subscription. But if you only use 3 at a time, you can delete the ones that you're no longer using and then add more. So that's typically what I try to do. But when I was a classroom teacher, this is one that I did reach out to my principal, and we did get a subscription because I used it a lot.
So when you are not going to use it, let's say you want to use create another page, can you save it somewhere so that you don't have to recreate it?
If you only have 3, no. If you have a paid subscription, yes, and you can archive them as well. And you can duplicate a Padlet page. So let's say you've spent a long time writing out the description and customizing everything. You can duplicate it to use with a future class, but you have to have the ability to have more than 3, or you can only duplicate up to 3, if that makes sense. And this here is I'm not going to show it because I just walked through you, but this is a video about how to use the post tool. So if you want to look back and learn more about that will be there for you. And there's a lot of different ways you can use Padlet. Vision boards, planning, book reviews, showing your work in math class. I used it for digital pen pals, so my students had pen pals from another state. They would post their writing on Padlet, and then their pen pal would be able to comment. And again, that gave them that global community and feedback. And I found that students were much more interested in writing when they knew somebody else was going to be reading it, that was a peer that was actually going to look at it and care about it. And I actually had one student who really didn't love writing class all too much. It was a 5th grade boy. On Fridays were allowed to have a personal post, so they could share something going on in their life with their global pen pal. And somebody asked him, his pen pal asked him what his favorite subject was, and he said it was math, and he said, I hate writing. And they wrote, ... Well, I guess I like it now. And I thought, well, that's all the confirmation I need. So he doesn't hate it. And then you can use it for timelines. So we looked at a traditional Padlet page, but actually, so this is the dashboard of Padlet. When you go to make it, that's the wall. That's typically what I use. But there are some different options of how that page is set up. So you have stream. So instead of the posts being all over the place, they would just be chronological. Grid or shelf organizes them into columns. You can do a Padlet map. So there, you create the background. You might upload an image of a place, and then students pin to locations. Canvas connects ideas. So you might have students post different ideas, and then they can draw an arrow to connect their thinking. And then this is what I was mentioning was a timeline. So students might be given a date, and they would post on that date, and it would appear on a timeline. So there's a lot of different ways you can set up, but definitely Wall is the most commonly used, and it's the most versatile. Again, another tool that you could use for virtual office hours or question banks. Students can post questions on there. Student portfolios, exit or entrance tickets. You can use it for parent communication. So if parents have questions for you, they can post them on there, and sometimes other parents will answer. Again, I would probably recommend doing approved posts. And also, an innovative idea that I saw recently that I wish I thought of was a birthday wall. So when it's a student's birthday, they can go on and put like a little birthday meme or say happy birthday. They can make a video, and then the students can keep it if you have a subscription. So again, I have some resources for you, creative ways to use Padlet, more creative ways to use Padlet, and then the direct link to the Padlet tutorials page on different things that will help you use the tool. Are there any questions so far?
Can you print? Let's just say you did the birthday wall for a student.
You can, but obviously if it's a video or something, it would not print a video, but it would print a picture that there was a video. But yeah, I have printed them before for like student portfolios and things like that. Okay, your students, this is a drag and drop activity, and you'll see this one's a come. Your students have just finished a unit of study on the impacts of technology on the environment. You want to give them a platform to share their learning. Which would you choose? There's no right or wrong answer. Would you have them use Flipgrid for this task or Padlet? Alright, so I have, it looks like Padlet's in the lead. Anybody want to share why they picked which one?
Yeah, it's kind of like hard, but I feel like you can do what you want to put in on Padlet and get more options.
Yeah, and it's funny, I love Flipgrid, but one of my favorite things about Padlet is kind of what you were saying was the options, because I really like to give students the opportunity for choice. And I feel like with Padlet, they do have that opportunity because they could record a video, like you said, like they can do in Flipgrid, but then they also have other options as well. How about somebody who picked Flipgrid? Why did you pick Flipgrid?
I picked Flipgrid, but I want to change my mind.
There's no right or wrong answer. One defense for Flipgrid would be the only difference, I guess, or different capability is you can't comment back with the video. So in Flipgrid, you can respond back to one another with a video as well and create a more dynamic flow of conversation. So if you wanted students to have that interaction, that would be a good reason to choose Flipgrid.
Are the editing and all that on Flipgrid, can you do that on Padlet as well?
Great point. No, there's much more editing and customization on Flipgrid.
Yeah, so maybe if you were looking to have them work on presentation or technological skills, maybe Flipgrid would be a better option.
Yeah, that's a great point. And if it's more of a big project too that they're going to be sharing and keeping, yeah. And also for those other features, like I said, if you have a student who's a little camera shy, they have that pixelate or blur face version. No right or wrong answer there. Just like Alright, so the next tool I think nobody had heard of. So this one is a very good friend of mine. So this is Edpuzzle. I'm going to show the video about it in just a second, but it's a self-paced learning tool where you deploy videos. So these videos could be videos that you've made, but they can also be like YouTube videos. And what's great about it is typically if you share a video with, especially I'll just point out 5th and 6th grade students, they are going to either click through the video or they're going to not pay attention to it. or they're going to say they watched it and they didn't. Or you have good students who will actually sit there and watch it. But what Edpuzzle does is it creates accountability. So students cannot skip through a video. They have to watch the entire thing, and there will be stopping points in the video for them to reflect. It could be a multiple choice question, an open response question, and they're not allowed to move on in the video until they answer that question. So it brings that level of accountability. So let's watch a quick video about what Edpuzzle looks like.
Good grammar and spelling are important, but if you want to write
And also,
that inspire, want to create amazing video lessons in minutes,
if you're sharing YouTube videos with your students and you share them through Edpuzzle, they won't ever have those advertisements. But I also have another trick for that later.
Edpuzzle is your missing piece. With Edpuzzle, you can choose from the millions of videos available from YouTube, National Geographic, TED Talks, Khan Academy, and more. You can also reuse ready-to-go video lessons made by other teachers or upload your very own teaching video. Then, use Edpuzzle's video editor to create your perfect lesson. Embed your own questions to check your students' understanding, cut sections to show your students only the most important parts of the video, and even record voiceover so you can explain concepts in your own words. Once you've finished, you can assign it to your students in just one click and prevent skipping to make sure your students don't miss a thing. When you want to check in on your students' progress, use Edpuzzle's hassle-free analytics to get all the information you need. See who still needs to watch the video, what your students responded, and their total scores. So remember, with Edpuzzle's free platform, you can make any video your lesson.
And again, that's a freemium tool, so there's a free version. That one I've always gotten away with the free version. I think the paid version is if you're gonna have more than 2 or 3 classes and you're really uploading a lot of video content. But for me, it's just something to use here and there when I want them to have a little bit more accountability with a video lesson or a self-paced lesson. And it is nice that it has that feature that eliminates ads. But I will be sharing other tricks on that. Okay, so how might I use Edpuzzle to increase engagement and accountability, to track progress? So typically if we share a YouTube video, we don't know necessarily how long a student spent watching it, if they watched it, if they understood any of it, unless we have a follow-up activity. So this sort of does all of that in one. And then also for self-paced book talks, reflections, and bringing interactivity to video-based instruction, which can sometimes feel flat. And here I have for you some additional resources on tutorials, tips and tricks, and creative ways to use it. For example, it could be a screen recording. So you might have a screen recording showing students how to use an EdTech tool, and then put stopping points in that video to check to make sure they understand. So when they go to use it, you know that they're ready and prepared beforehand. Okay, so I know some of you said that you've used Kahoot a little bit, but we're gonna still probably try it. But I want to share with you Gimkit first. So Gimkit functions similarly to Kahoot. It's game-based learning, but it's pretty impressive. It was coded by a high school student. It was developed by a high school student who had difficulty paying attention in class, and they wanted something to sort of hold their attention and keep them engaged. So he was a senior in high school in Washington State, and he developed this application. It's a website and an app. And again, it's similar to Kahoot, but what's really impressive about it is the feature called Kit Collab that we're going to try today. So if you've used Kahoot, you know the teacher presents a quiz, which we'll see today, and you go kind of question by question, and you can interact and respond. Where Gimkit lets students also collaborate, meaning each student can submit a question and 4 choices, one of them being correct, and then it goes into a collaborative quiz that everybody takes. So it could be a good icebreaker activity. It presents higher order thinking, because if you're doing a review or an end of assessment, then students have to not only answer a question, but develop a question, develop a right answer, and think about what would be possible wrong answers, because you don't want your wrong answers to be too far off, so it shows their understanding even deeper. So we're going to try a quick round of each. I'm going to hop over to Gimkit. So this one's called Gimkit Live, and I go to the feature called Kit Collab. For normal kits, those are just like Kahoots, and personally, if I'm just doing a regular quiz where I don't want students to collaborate and create their own questions, I will go to Kahoot because it's a little easier, and there's a million quizzes already on there that I can duplicate and edit, whereas Gimkit doesn't have as much of resources available. But for this Kit Collab feature, it's wonderful. And Kahoot doesn't really have anything like that.
GimKit have an app on your phone?
Yes, it does. Yep. Okay. So I'm going to name this. I'm just going to call this Franklin Sample. And this is what you would do as the teacher to set it up. And it doesn't matter. It makes you pick a picture. It doesn't matter. All right, we're going to do classic, but you can see there's a lot of different options, and they're always adding them. Like every day they change them. So like there's this floorless lava. There's humans versus zombies. So they'll divide the students into two groups. Sometimes there's one, I think it's Trust No One. It's kind of like Among Us, where somebody's like a mole or an imposter, and you're trying to figure out who it is. Classic is just kind of every student for himself. The two I use the most are Classic and Team Mode, but the students always beg to try the other ones. Team Mode is kind of nice. It's everybody's working together to get to a goal. And in GimKit, it's not points, it's money. And you can spend your money on power-ups and things. And then Classic is kind of somebody wins when they have the most money. So I'll let you guys pick. Do you want to compete against each other or collectively towards a goal? What do you think? Collectively, it's nice. It is nice because sometimes you'll get those classrooms that are just so competitive, and then you have somebody who's upset. Whereas if you're actually working together towards something, it brings that competitiveness a little bit down. Okay, so players per team. So let's see. Let's do. We have 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. We'll do 4 and 4. Okay, and we'll do time. What do you think? We'll do 10 minutes. Multiple questions if you want. I'll explain to you what that means is how many questions you can submit. I'll start everybody off with $20.
Oh yeah.
And you'll see how this all works.
So should our screen look like this?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. It will. I'll give you a code in just a second. It'll do that.
scared.
No. And then handicap, what that means is you are not allowing students to go too negative, because you'll have students who keep answering wrong and they'll get discouraged. You could even do a $0, so they can't even go negative, really. Answer check allows students to see the correct answer if they get something wrong. That's obviously great if you're in the middle of a unit or the beginning of a unit and you want them to review and know the right answers, and sometimes you might want to turn that off if they're sort of towards the end and you want them to actually, have mastered the content. Always leave the music on. And clapping is fun. You can clap for each other at the end. So leave that on. Join in late. What it sounds like, if somebody joins into the room, they can hop in. Power-ups is how you can spend your money to earn more money per question. So you'll see what that looks like. This game is best explained by playing. And clean power-ups, what that means is power-ups to help you only versus there's power-ups that actually would hurt other people in the room. So depending on the dynamics of your classroom, you can turn that off. Or the age group. Alright, so now you're going to go open up a new tab and go to, it's up at the top here, gimkit.com/live. And then you're going to enter in that number code, 279-600. And I did the Kit Collab, so you're going to have to come up with a question with possible answers. This could be a question about you, it could be a random math question, a trivia question, anything you want.
I can't remember the name of this one place, or this one website, but one of my teachers that I was doing, it like sounds really similar to this.
Maybe Quizlet?
It's not Quizlet. I know I wrote it down somewhere, but it's really fun. And it has like, you have money. It might have been this, I don't know.
I haven't seen another one with money, so it might have been this, but you never
It
know.
was so fun that we were playing it, just me like, and 2 kids and then the teacher, and I was like so invested in it. It was so fun.
When I taught computer class, I'd have students asking to play, so we would do like math questions, and they wouldn't even want to leave the room.
Yeah, and math was fun.
So yeah, so you're going to have to add at least one question, but you can add more if you like. And like I said, the question could be anything you want. It could be a trivia question, something about yourself, a math question. What's the weather like today? Anything you want. Your favorite place to travel. Because you'll get to see today what happens if you get something wrong. So if you do a personal question, we might not know the answer, but then it will show us the correct answer. And now me as the teacher, I have to approve your questions to make sure, again, there's nothing inappropriate or a wrong answer or something like that. History is not my strength. I'm going to guess that you're right.
Question about myself?
Can we do anything?
5 minutes.
You can just do a math question, or do like, let's see, a recipe. How do you make something? What's the first step to making peanut butter and jelly sandwich?
Oh, I can't do my question. It's going to be musical right now. I forgot you guys were out here. Natural. Is it really red?
Oh, I'll join for you.
Okay, I fixed it.
So we need 8. And the other nice thing is nobody will know which questions are yours except for the teacher. Oh yeah.
Please go. Is it come say it? I think I'll plug it into this cord. I'm just
Okay.
All right.
Does anyone else think you're a natural redhead?
And then you'll see an option too if you want to add another question. You're
Okay.
welcome.
John's first.
We're just waiting on one more.
I was trying hard, but then I'm just trying to go back so fast. It says draw while you're waiting.
Oh yes, and it gives students a drawing pad while they're waiting, which you can also disable. Did everybody submit a question?
You might
That's okay.
Okay.
You say you.
You would? Okay, that's fine. I just want to make sure there were any tech issues.
I'm probably not on there right now.
Okay, so now one more player needed. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, is it because your computer died?
Yeah,
You can join from your phone too.
I'm downloading them. Can I do it from the internet on my phone?
Yeah, I'm doing it from the internet on my phone.
Oh, okay. That's tough.
Did it die?
Yeah, but like look in the 10 o'clock.
I thought my computer was plugged in all night and then I went to grab it and it was an outlet. I was like, oh.
If you're waiting, feel free to add other questions. It'll make the class a little bit more. Let's see.
Thank you. Nervous.
I'm good, thank you.
What? So good.
I'm gonna get off the Wi-Fi, see if it's super fast.
Did it work on your phone?
The Wi-Fi wasn't on, but I turned the Wi-Fi off, and now I'm on the
Would you like to join my mobile hotspot?
Do you want to watch it?
Yeah.
No, I'm just not LTE. Pretty good too.
I like never have service. I have full service.
Okay, I have no good questions.
Okay. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. So when it starts, every time you answer a question, you start off earning it's either $1 or $3. And what happens is once you've earned a certain bank of money, you can shop. So you spend a little bit of your money, but then you can earn more money per question. And so that's how it starts to trickle up and you collect more money that way.
I think it's too fun, yes.
So if you're in it and you're trying to get out of it, like I had to take a photo, now I can't get out of it. I'll kiss myself on the screen.
I think when I started, let's see.
Okay.
Took right over.
Yeah.
The olive team.
So we have the copper team and the olive team. I have to play that.
Little copper.
Alright.
Yeah, I don't want to. How'd I get around? Oh. Bacon.
Oh.
Who made this question?
Alright.
Who made this question? I just sang my song.
I was looking for a question.
Right.
I'm sure.
Oh, you got your dog's name right. Yes. Okay, seriously, somebody else put an office question in here? That's weird. I didn't.
Why are my answers the 25th US question?
Oh, I gotta keep going?
Well, typically you'll have a class of like 20 students, so and then each group usually submits like 2, so you won't see the same questions. There's a lot of office questions going on here.
Hey.
Why?
Is there cool?
So once you've earned some money, you can shop and you can earn you can purchase some power-ups. Looks like the olive team is in the lead right now.
Oh, I just spent $20. That's why.
Oh, I just spent a ton of money, guys.
Sorry, guys.
I thought I was going with my own money. Oh, good. Why was the right answer? Thank you.
Anyone put in what bear is best?
I'm not sure. I was really ready.
Bear is best.
I would have. Or that's what we have to do.
Your name? No, his name's not Scooby. You sure?
Eventually, once you learn all the answers, it becomes a game of like who can click the fastest, because that's what you want. You want students to learn and then be quicker. That's why it's really great for math, I think.
A little Fred.
Oh my gosh, go competition questions.
Oh, not the Jonas Brothers, huh?
Yes.
So you'll see, even though we're competing in teams here, it also shows us our collective amount. So it kind of, makes you not feel like you're competing. So you can also do like we're working towards a goal type of thing with students. Like if we can together earn $1,000.
I'm pretty sure I've tried every single one that's like fish president. That
Guys, can I keep spending our money?
If you get something wrong, I did enable the correct answer. So you can see the correct answer.
Sorry guys, we're out of money, I went shopping.
Yeah, the copper team. The olive team is sad.
You guys should go shopping.
I'll go shop on this street for us right now.
I don't think we're winning. What's you around? Yeah, we're not
Yeah, we're
winning.
doing
Spent all our money twice.
okay, shop. I'm offended that you're looking for an option and tool track
With roasted.
Well, I gave it to these nuts. Oh my gosh, we're so much money.
Should I spend all our money in? Yeah.
But you'll notice the more you go through the questions, especially if it's a small blanket question, you'll start to actually know the answers because you've seen them so many times. That's why it's great for review.
I saw one wrong. Wow.
I know, you're thinking of something. Oh. We got this. I just purchased nicer.
The color one throws me off because the blue is never the actual color of the
Answer your question, right?
Did you freeze them?
Yeah.
And we still haven't
We're
much.
shopping every now and then to help us multiply our.
We're catching up, but
Not for long.
Should I subtract all their money?
You should track our money when you get upset.
I'm blurry.
These are all.
What are their streams?
how do you lose money?
Because I subtracted all their money.
Yeah.
Me guys, you're on the offense right now.
Oh, I did the wrong answer.
It's not working. I just need $200 for one question. Oh, I should have done
Oh, I did too. The thing. I saw. Oh my god.
I just need a decent $200
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so these don't have to be. This is a Kit collab, so we all submitted a question. You can just like Kahoot, you can create quizzes and play it the same way as you play like Kahoot. But I do like the Kit collab because it presents that higher order thinking where students have to not only answer questions but develop them. And there's a lot of work that goes into coming up with wrong answers because you don't want your wrong answers to be obvious. So it's definitely a higher level skill than just taking a quiz. And it's fun to see your question up there. Alright, I think we got 3 more minutes. Typically, it's we don't repeat the same questions as much when you have a classroom full of kids and their questions. And what I usually do is I assign it either in a small group station, they have to develop their questions ahead of time, so then when we come to the game, they're already prepared, or it could be a homework assignment.
Oh my gosh, I'm $14,000.
The music is very catchy.
Chris, we keep.
They do change the music, like around different holidays and stuff. It's the same beat, but it will have like the Halloween one will be like kind of eerie sounding. Yeah. Yeah. And they do like Halloween versions. Like I said, they have like the zombie one, and they always are releasing new ones. And like I said, it's so impressive to me that a high school student made those.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so awesome that there's a lot of things that you don't have to think about that doesn't make it special.
Exactly. All right, we have 2 more minutes, and the Copper team is really just killing us. I don't know what's going on here. All of you.
I don't know how.
Somebody's shopping too much. Somebody's shopping.
And it blew my street.
What are you shopping over there? What do you buy?
Now each of our questions, if we get it right, we get like $400.
You just get them wrong or what?
No, it's not the money.
You also lose that much if you get it wrong.
Stop getting wrong, guys. They take away 20% of the money.
But as a collective unit, we've earned $25,000, so that's if only it was real.
Yeah, right.
You do this every day.
Yeah.
I'll keep working on that.
I want to do this.
And I have used this as low as 2nd grade and all the way up to 12th grade, and every student I've used it with has found it engaging. Obviously, the younger students, you have to, think about what kind of questions you're using, things like math questions where they can recognize the numbers and things like that.
We have $20,000 more.
I spent $5 pretty much for Greg. Well, yeah. What color's your screen? Mine's
It's funny because
gray.
this is exactly what happened to me last week.
No, I spent $5 making my screen gray.
This is exactly the conversations that happened in like a 5th grade.
I just didn't like to make the gray screen where
It didn't work.
Alright, we have 30 seconds. Can the olive team make up the difference?
Someone else died at 20% loss.
Not if I protect ourselves first.
I can't.
I turned the blur off.
Joke's on you.
Did you really need to blur us?
This just looks like when I don't wear my glasses. Oh, I lost $300. I couldn't see. I'm blind.
We're shielded for this 3 minutes, don't even bother.
Where's my crown?
Do I get an award for the most money spent?
Well, 2nd place isn't too bad.
Out of 2.
So that is, yeah, then you can clap for each other as well.
Clapping so many times. This is me. I'm doing all the time.
And as a teacher, you're also able to view the report, and so you can see how individual students did as well. Alright, back to our presentation. So I know some of you said you've seen Kahoot, but it is similar to Gimkit. The one I have set up for that is a lot quicker than what we just did, but I just wanted to show it for those of you who have not seen it. I do prefer Kahoot if I'm going to create the quiz from scratch. I just think it has, it's a little bit simpler to use that way, and there's just a lot already available on there that I can adapt to my needs. So anytime you find a Kahoot, 2 things. There's a million Kahoots on there, they're quizzes that you can use, but always, always, always read through everything. And I always recommend duplicating it, going through and editing it so it's appropriate for your objectives and your students. I have definitely seen scenarios where teachers just Googled, okay, I have Kahoot on multiplication, they didn't review it, they put it up for students, and there were wrong answers, there were inappropriate things. So it's an open source website, so it's just like Wikipedia or Google anything, you can find anything on there, so just make sure you're reviewing it before you present it to your students. So for example, if I go to Discover and I search a quiz about math, you can find anything and use it, it doesn't mean it's good, so make sure you review it. And if you click on the 3 dots, you can just make a copy, duplicate it. This one has to be approved by their moderators. But usually if the teacher uploaded it, you can just duplicate it. And then you can go through and edit it and make sure it's appropriate for your purposes. And of course, you can always create one using this blue button up here from scratch, so it's perfectly aligned to your standards and what you're teaching. I'm going to share one here, go to my library. This one's just quick 8 questions just to show you in case you haven't seen it. So this one we're not going to submit questions, you're just going to respond to them. And it's not going to be self-paced like it was with Gimkit, we're going to be working 1 question at a time together. They're always changing. Okay, let's do classic this time. Okay, so you're going to go to kahoot.it. And then you have a game pen at the top. Make sure you don't go to kahoot.com because that's the back end. You want to go to kahoot.it. And then it's 754019. And the nice thing about Kahoot is with questions, you have a little bit more customization. So a question could actually have a video in front of it. You could watch a video then respond to a question. You can have an image, you can have text. And one thing I always have to talk about with students is, yes, it's speed with Kahoot. Obviously, there's some speed as well. But you also want to make sure you read all of the answers before you choose, because sometimes there's distractors in there. And it doesn't matter how fast you click. If you click the wrong answer, you're not going to get the points. All right, so I got 3, 4, 5, and 1 more. Well, see, we have Christmas and Halloween.
Christmas.
But the original is so fun.
What's disco?
Oh, 80s vibe. I wonder if you can change it when it's playing.
you always have to add yourself twice.
Who's not?
Katie's that.
Okay, but there's 6. This is somebody else not in.
You guys both-
Katie?
Oh, I didn't go in.
We kind of like.
Oh, okay.
You're probably thinking.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Alright, here we go then.
Your network is slow, so you might experience delays.
Where's my music? Oh, there it is.
Which one is this?
This is the classic.
Is it?
Yeah. So red is using computers to fill extra time. Technology that is used for entertainment, using technology to enhance teaching and learning, and students are using iPads. Well, we all got that right. That makes me happy. That's one of our objectives today. We got that. So then we'll have your scoreboard. What I really like about Kahoot's scoreboard, though, hopefully we'll see an example of this today, is if you have a student who's like consistently in last place, but does better on one question, or even moves up 1 point, it will also say like somebody's making growth in progress. It doesn't just always highlight who's in first. I don't know if we'll see it in a small group, but we'll see.
Do you get a higher score for how quickly you answer?
Yes, but as long as it's right.
Okay.
Yeah. Where can technology integration occur in a lesson? At the beginning, middle, end, or during the entire lesson? Only to show a video? Only at the end to review a lesson? Or only to give a presentation? So it gives you, you can set the amount of time. I think it's like 5 seconds to like 3 minutes you can give students, but it will also automatically end once everybody's answered it. So it won't make you wait like the full time. Close game. Which answer is not a type of educational technology? Document camera, Chromebook, Smartbook, text. Smartbook. That's the music I like. It's very good. See, here, a Kiki has a biased answer streak, so sometimes it shows other things.
Yeah.
I think everybody has this answer streak.
Yeah, it's just trying to make it.
Yeah, it's just trying to make it feel nice.
Alex, sorry you're in first and third.
I'm in first.
Who is the most important person that influences the use of technology in the classroom? The teacher, the students, admin, or the parents?
Yes. What are the others?
I got that one wrong.
No.
Oh, I got it right. That's your question.
It's up to you to plan it effectively. It's up to you to advocate for it to your building, and it's up to you to make sure your students have that access that they deserve. Okay. Oh, Alex has 4 in a row.
Right now.
5 of 8. Students are blank in projects when technology tools are used seamlessly in learning. They're falling behind, not learning, they're intellectually challenged, or they're bored.
Like an A on the line for this. If I get this right, I'll do the TCAP. You're on.
Intellectually challenged.
He said 4.
I didn't understand the question.
I was a little confused by the question as well.
Okay, Alex, I'm challenging you.
Okay.
Effective technology integration has been proven to blank students' learning. Slow down, monitor, regulate, improve. That was fast.
We're very kind of well.
I guess so.
What is the benefit of cloud storage? It makes you more organized. You have access to your files anywhere. It gives you more ways to use technology.
I don't know how to use the class.
Want me to stop? we have one more.
Somebody's on fire.
How does using Google Drive improve teaching and learning? Promote student engagement, collaboration, and feedback, providing more ways to use tech, or because everyone likes to Google their answers.
It's true. It's true. Just need that TCAP for me.
Yeah.
Nice.
Literally, anytime I ask my 13-year-old something, he just tells me to Google it. Yeah. It's like, okay. And then we have the podium.
Podium, baby. Let's go.
It's a big deal.
Whatever, Alan.
Oh, and we have some runners up.
And I'm a runner-up.
And you're a runner-up.
Do it all.
Lowercase Alex with a
Lowercase Alex for the win.
Oh, now I'm connection issues.
No,
Nice.
Well, we're almost at break. So with Kahoot, like I said, there is a huge repository of different Kahoots that teachers have made, and I'm not saying they're all bad, but just be careful, preview them. I like to use them too, but I always go through and edit them and adapt them to what I'm doing. Sometimes it's nice not to reinvent the wheel. But if it's something really specific, then you should create it from scratch. And just never just use one. Just don't do it. And then I also included for you some resources, how to use GimKit for assessments, how to get started with it, some different Kahoot ideas, and Kahoot tutorials. Alright, Pear Deck. That is what we are currently using right now. So with Pear Deck, each student in your class will connect to your presentation, like you're doing right now, on any device, and they can answer interactive questions and learn from each other. It works like any slide presentation. It's actually from Google Slides. It is a Google Slideshow. And you can also import things into your Google Slides. So it could come from a PowerPoint that was originally PowerPoint or PDFs, and then you can make them interactive. We're using it right now. Like I said, it is free. There is like a premium version, but usually I can find with just a free version. And here's a quick video. I know we're using it, but I'll just give you a little bit more information about how it works.
Bring the indoors out and give your porch or patio all the creature comforts of your living room. I'm the interior designer, James.
Typically, little side note, when you have videos in a Google Slide presentation, the ads are usually eliminated, but because there's also the Pear Deck layer, when I click on it, it brings us to YouTube, which is why we have the ads. So typically, if you have videos in a Google Slideshow, it will take out the ads. It's only the little glitch of having to open up YouTube that makes them play. And they also have lots of tutorials on different ways that you can use it and how to get started with it. I did share some of those resources there as well. And there's some really great example activities created by Pear Deck there for you to see. And they have a lot of templates. So some of the slides I use are templates. Most of them I created myself, but they have a lot of different templates of, especially the drag and drop, so you have like a background that they create for you, and so you don't have to do all that heavy lifting on design. Okay, so here is a giant list of other tools. So Nearpod is just like Pear Deck, like I said, except it doesn't work with Google Slides. It's sort of its own slideshow platform. Has anybody heard of, let's take a look at this list for a minute and tell me if you've heard of any of the other ones. I know we said Blogster, GoNoodle.
Oh, Mentimeter. I've done Mentimeter before.
Mentimeter, yep.
Prodigy, the math.
Prodigy is math. They also have a reading one, but it's called something different.
Doesn't hurt if you see the math.
Some of my favorites on this list. So if you're not familiar with Screencastify or Screencast-O-Matic, you might want to get familiar with those. So those are how you can create screen recordings, which just come in handy when you're trying to show students how to do something on a computer. So basically, you record your screen. I'm sure you've had to do it at some point, and create videos that way. Again, you can do that on Flipgrid or Padlet as well. Another favorite on here is GetEpic. If you teach or work in reading in any capacity, it is a free for educators, large repository of online reading resources, level texts. It has screen reading texts. It has books organized by level, and it even has like magazines. It has some videos, and students can kind of create like a digital library. You can assign them books. You can assign assignments with books. It's definitely a great resource that I use all the time. I also include some more techie, like coding type websites. So we have code.org, where students can learn basic coding skills. Storyboard that's a great resource. I've used it for all subjects. It's a digital comic book creator. So you can use it as like a planning activity, a way for students to demonstrate they understood a story. For creative writing, there's a lot of different purposes for that. Flowcabulary is one of my favorites. Basically, Flowcabulary is like YouTube videos, but they're all rap songs about challenging topics or topics that students have to learn. So like a rap song about like the order of operations or the planets or grammatical things. And so you probably know that music can help you remember things, and they put them in sort of like catchy, rhymey ways, and the kids like them and they sing along to them, and then they actually learn things from it. Go Noodle, I heard somebody mention. That's a good one to get students sort of up and moving, keeping them active. Lots of different tools here. These are some of the ones that I would recommend checking out. Most of them have a free version. Some of them are all free, which is nice. Okay, failing forward. The biggest resistance I see in using technology in the classroom is the fear that it will all go wrong. And it will. Like at least 25% of the time. Even this morning we had some technological glitches. It will go wrong, and things won't always be perfect, but don't let that keep you from trying and knowing that those mistakes sometimes lead to things that are better. So one of the first times I used a computer in the classroom, we weren't one-to-one, my students didn't have Chromebooks. All I wanted to do is we were doing a writing assignment in 5th grade, and I just wanted to get the kids excited about writing, which is sometimes hard to do. And they were writing about Deflategate, if anybody remembers that, a few years back, about the Patriots and did they deflate the balls and all of this. So I wanted them to watch like some news conferences of Bill Belichick talking about what was going on. So I found the YouTube video. I watched it ahead of time. It was all set. I preloaded it so that the ads wouldn't play. I thought I was ready to go. And I played it for my students. And sometimes if you walk away from a computer for like more than 5 minutes, it refreshes. And so it decided to play another ad, which happened to be an explicit ad for adult things. To my 5th grade class, and I wanted to crawl into a corner and cry, and I wrote like a 2-page letter to all of my students' parents apologizing, and I never wanted to open a computer again in the classroom that day. And then I had a teacher come to me who said, oh, my friend told me that if you put a period after a YouTube link, it will eliminate all of the ads. And I never knew that, and that's true. So if you ever share a YouTube link, so like I'll go to YouTube. So when you have your YouTube link here up at the top, or even when you go to share and you copy this link, when you paste it, so I'm just going to do Control V, if you put a period at the end, it will make it so you do not have ads. And that did not work. Okay. They fixed it. It did work. But you can always use that puzzle. But my point is, when you share things with students and you try new things, just like that, things are not always going to go as you planned. And they're just not. And you have to not be afraid of it, because that's how we move forward. And so the quote I have here on the next slide is, if you're not failing, you're probably not moving forward. If everything is going smoothly and perfectly every day, and your lesson plans are perfect, and everything is pretty, and there's no messes, and nothing goes wrong, then your students are probably not learning as much as they could be, because you're not challenging yourself enough or them enough. And you have to just not be afraid to know that things are not going to go wrong, because they will, especially with technology. There's nothing you can do to prevent technology one day not working, the internet's out, a website changed its complete structure. That's happened to me a million times when I've gone to do a demo of a website, and the night before they updated it. It's completely different. And I have no idea what I'm showing people. It just happens all the time. That period thing, apparently they figured out how to get around that. But using Edpuzzle, so if you upload a YouTube video to Edpuzzle and you don't even want to put in those comprehension questions I talked about, you don't have to put in stopping points. You can just use it as a way to share YouTube videos. Another note, just things I've learned along the way, putting YouTube videos in Google Classroom can be really iffy. For some reason, Google Classroom likes to block a lot of different videos, even things that are totally fine. So even though it looks like it works on your end, and the video looks like it's in Google Classroom for your students, when they go to watch it, it will block it a lot of times. So just think about that. Another way to do it is instead of putting the video inside Google Classroom, is creating a link to it, like through Edpuzzle or Flipgrid or something like that. Or you can post it on a Padlet page. But for some reason, if you try to put it right in Google Classroom, a lot of times it will block it. All right, so we're just about up to our lunch break. Does anybody have any questions so far? We talked about a lot. Hopefully you saw some things that you've never seen before. This afternoon we're going to be able to try out some of those tools through some different scenario-based activities. So any questions? Are there any tools that you've heard of that you want me to show you when you come back? If we have time at the end? No? Good. Okay, so a little different this afternoon. There's a link at the bottom of the screen there. So I don't know if you've ever heard of Bitly, but a little pro tip. Sometimes you'll have websites that are super duper long and hard to type in. So Bitly is a website you can go to and you can paste in really long URLs and it will create a short URL that's easy to share with people. But they are case sensitive. So usually like the FK at the end has to be capitalized. So it's bit.ly/FP EdTech2. Definitely a good thing to use with students because trying to get them to type in these like 100-character URLs and usually I try to share with them something they can just click on, but sometimes it's just easier to share a link. And this is not going to be Pear Deck, this is going to be normal Google Slides because we are going to be doing sort of a choose your own path activity. So once everybody's logged on, I'll explain. Less of me talking, more of you playing. Is everybody on? Good? Okay. Alright, so we moved through the morning session, so we are on the afternoon session now, so we are going to be moving into breakout groups. So there's only 5 of you, so we're going to just kind of do this as you can choose what you're going to work on. So there's 4 sections. There's Think Outside the Box, Free Explore, Get Creative, and Show Me How. So you are going to do all of these activities, but you can decide which one you want to work on first, and we'll do each of them for about 25 minutes. It's going to give you an opportunity to play with some of those tools that I showed you this morning. So think about Outside the Box is more Google-based. I'll show you quickly how this works. You'll click on the link, and it will bring you to that page. If you ever want to go back, you can click on the home button in the bottom corner, as long as you're in present mode. So Think Outside the Box actually has 3 different activities inside it. You can just choose one, you don't have to do all of them. But if you finish one and you want to try another one, you're more than welcome to do it. So there's an activity with Google Sheets, Google Forms, and Google Slides. And what I want you to get from this activity is that just because an EdTech tool is designed for one thing doesn't mean it only does one thing. And there's so many creative ways teachers find to use these programs in innovative ways and sort of find different ways to engage students in their learning. So those are 3 different activities that are kind of outside the box. The next choice is Free Explore. So all of those activities and tools that I showed you this morning, Flipgrid, Padlet, Kahoot, Gimkit, Pear Deck, and then I also linked the morning slides here so you can see that other long list of tools. Pick 1, pick 2, pick 3, however many you want. Get started exploring it. The ones like Flipgrid that's totally free, you're welcome to create an account, try making a prompt or an activity, see what it's like to set one up, and I can walk around and help with this one. And again, we can go back to home. The third option is Get Creative. So we're going to hop over to Kahoot and set up your free educator account. and create a Kahoot quiz based on things that you've learned today. I did include some video tutorials if you need help with that. And the last option is show me how. So one thing I found invaluable is being able to create screen recordings. I use it all the time with students, with teachers, myself. So there are programs like Screencast-O-Matic and Screencastify, but you can create screen recordings right in Flipgrid and Padlet. So there's a Padlet page linked down at the bottom there that you can go to and practice making a screen recording to share something you learned today. You can use something from my slideshow. You can make your own Google slide. However you want to do it, you can be creative, but record something on your screen just to show that you can do that. Okay, so you have 25 minutes for each station. So I'm going to set a timer, and then when 25 minutes is up, you can switch to another one of the activities, okay? And I'll be around. You can begin. Oh, internet?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It'll come back.
Yeah.
You guys can also move around, like if you wanna.
Yeah.
You
You
wanna
want to spread out a little bit.
next to each other if you're recording something.
Or if you really like each other. Yeah. Yeah, or if you want to record something, you can are they allowed to go in the halls or
Yeah,
anything?
yeah. There's actually study rooms along through there too, so it's
Oh, okay.
locked. You can even go in and.
Yeah, I used to have pop-up tents. I've had a little pop-up tent. I would just close it up, keep it in the corner, but students think when they go in there that nobody can hear them. You can.
It's funny.
It does work. Flipgrid actually makes them. Flipgrid actually sells these bright green pop-up tents. They're like about as tall as me, and they're just like a little like kids play tent.
Yeah.
And they're called recording studios. They're like $25, and it doesn't do anything. It looks like a green screen though. Like it's like that color. But for some reason they think they have this like level of privacy in there. So you could use like I used to cut up cardboard boxes and put them like around your desk, and they felt like they were in like a little station. For some reason, if they can't see you, they think nobody can hear them or anything. And don't be afraid to go back to those morning slides too, because I put a ton of tutorials and resources in there, so it'll be a lot.
Sorry.
So, and this is a different kind of Padlet page. So this one, instead of just posting all over the place, you can make like sections. So this would be a great way to add like resources for students on like websites they can go to. So let's do like concern. Maybe link here. So I can make like a list and make different subjects, and then this is just a link now that my student can click on. So I could give them like, examples of places they can go if they're finished with work, or this could be like resources they're used for a project that they can study from. So this type of Padlet, this one's called, what's it called? It's called Canvas. So So if you click on the three dots here, we can do connect to a post, and you can actually draw arrows between like ideas. So sometimes I use this for like a planning document, or students could make connections between their idea and somebody else's idea. So you just click on the three dots, connect to a post. There's no other post here, or I can do disconnect, and it removes the arrow.
It's Evan Explorers.
Did you already do the math one?
Yeah, I had a great time.
Your choir teachers are going to be so impressed by you guys.
I like mine already. We've been chatting.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, if another teacher hasn't used some of these programs, walks in your room and sees you using it, they're absolutely like, what's that? How do you use that? Show me how to do that. I think you guys will be in a little bit better place than maybe I was because of COVID, and people have been sort of stepping out of their comfort zone and trying things, but there's definitely still some who step a little further. And also the students get a sense of your excitement for it, and if you come at it with a positive, attitude and show them that something exciting that they're going to enjoy, not like, oh, I'm frustrated by technology, it's not working. They pick up on that in your team for sure. There's our timer. Okay, so you can switch to one of the other activities now. That you chose. If you're doing the free explore and you're trying to pick something that maybe we didn't look at, storyboard that is super fun. If you like super fun things, it's a comic book creator, and students can use it. You can use it for science because there's like science planning documents, but also storyboarding so they can come up with like a plan for their story, or it could even be their ending presentation for their story. You can work on it with retail first, then next. There's so many different applications for it, but it's very customizable. So you can pick the characters, you can pick like the time period the characters come from. You can pick all of your backgrounds, props. You can change facial expressions, hair color, like all kinds of stuff. There's Pixton too. I think somebody mentioned that they've heard of that. And Pixton is similar. Last I checked, Storyboard that was mostly free, but it's been a little while since I've used it. So let me just double check on that. Make sure you can play with it. And I know last year, pretty much everybody was allowed everything to be free because of COVID. There were a lot of promotions. They're probably starting to pull back on some of those now.
Would any of you be opposed to me taking a picture of you guys doing your thing? No? Okay.
Try to make it
all
candid.
kinds of stuff.
I'm not waiting after this, so I'm really prepared.
Okay.
I just thought like, oh, this is kind of a cute picture.
You gotta like pan around it so it says the dream team.
Right.
3 hearts smiling faces. I think it's an envelope.
Should we open the envelope?
Let's see, this is for pricing. Monthly. There's no free one. Special.
I've done a Google Forms creator. Did Harry Potter one last year.
Yeah, it looks like maybe now it's only paid, which is lame. They have like a free trial, but. Oh, there.
Psychology stuff. There's class.
Oh no, there is a limited free version. 2 storyboards per week.
It was in
Storyboardthat.com.
teaching learning.
And then just scroll way down and you'll see where it says like there's a free version. So for like backgrounds, right, this is like town, but there's like entertainment, indoor, outdoor, school, and you just drag and drop them into the cells. So again, it's like a student's retelling a story or writing a story. I mean, there's lots of different ways you can use it. And this is just one application. If you look at the top, these are scenes. There's characters, textable shapes, infographics. Like I said, there's like science worksheets, all kinds of stuff.
The bus seems very familiar to me.
See if I can find the playground or something. Here we go. And see, like all this is editable. This is the free version, so there might be some limitations, but usually you can change. Like if I go to edit scene, I can do like nighttime. I can make it raining.
That is just so cool.
I know. And some of my friends, when I would teach writing, that didn't want to write, well, all of a sudden they wanted to tell a story, and I couldn't get them off of it. And it's still a form of storytelling and writing. Characters. And same thing. So now I have like adults, teens, kids, but I can even do like time periods. I can get some like medieval characters, 1900s. You could even do like stick figure people too. And these are customizable, so if I'll grab somebody. I can change their hair color, their skin color, their eyes, their hands, everything. I can edit their pose, their expression. Maybe this little one's not happy about going to school. And I think there's also props. I don't remember where the props are. Maybe it's in. Might be like search. I think I would just search props. So like dog. Well, there is animals. I'll see if you must have a premium account to search. Oh, there's some here. Hey, kids just love those.
Wait, this is free.
Yeah, the free one, I haven't seen exactly what it's limiting to me yet, but maybe like your ability to add extra cells. Yeah, see one more cells. Upgrade now. So far, I've been able to use everything. And I can also go to layout, and I can, let's see, there should be a way to, title and description. I can turn that on. So now, you can also give a title to each scene, and as well as a description for each scene, so you can write as well. So you could tell your students they need to do their writing before they do their pictures. Or you can do wordless books, wordless stories.
How would they would share this with you in the app?
So there's different ways. So one way is you can assign it through Google Classroom.
Okay.
Another way is you can actually just have like almost like a classroom within this website. So you create like a teacher account and then you assign it to your students. But they can also save it. They can export it as a slideshow or a PDF or a variety of different ways, and then they can just submit it to you. So there's different ways that they can get it to you.
No, you have to make your own.
So this is like what Symbaloo. So Symbaloo is a website that you can use as a teacher or in your personal life. But you can go like find links that you want your students to explore, and then post those links here, so they're just like free searching on Google. And it kind of looks like an iPad. They look like apps. This is just like a generic homepage that has a bunch of stuff, but you can create your own. So this is like a public one, and you can decide what's going to be on it. So it could even just be like 3 or 4 links that you want students to use that day. Make an example here. I'm not like logged in. I'm trying.
So Symbaloo, is that like Padlet?
No, it's not a Padlet because you don't post anything. It's just links.
Oh.
So it's just a way to share links with students.
Okay.
It's like curated boards of links. So if you're like, okay, we're going to research the American Revolution, you can use these resources only. So you know they're good, you've vetted them, they're not just, searching Wikipedia, although I'm not totally anti-Wikipedia, but you know that what the resources they're using are something that is trustworthy.
Okay.
Trying to make a new one. Here we go. Here. Add a book. So I'll just do an example. So it starts out just blank like that. So let's say I wanted them to go to Padlet.com. You click add a new tile, you put the exact URL. Right now I'm just going to do Padlet.com, but it could be a specific Padlet that you made. It could be a specific article on the internet. And then it just puts it there, so then they just click on it, brings them there. So they don't have to go to Google and type things in.
I like it. It's very controlled, but options.
But still gives them options, exactly. So they still feel like they're searching, because you can put as many as you want here. And you can also disable this. Like this allows them to still search the web, but you can disable this so they aren't allowed to do that. And you can change the background and stuff. And if you have a paid account, then it gets rid of the ads. Yeah, you can do like different icons and colors. There's just so many things out there, now. But technically, you could use Padlet in basically the same way, because it might not look maybe as pretty. If you go to Padlet and you make a Padlet. You can do this link option. So same thing, you could type the exact URL, so I'll do like google.com. Publish. And then again, they just click on it for right there. So you can kind of do the same thing on here. It just doesn't quite look exact. I mean, it looks different, honestly. I think if I was paying for one subscription, I would choose this one because you can use it in other ways. Yeah, I can tell. I think what I'll do is the easiest way. So if you are able to go on, let's see. Actually, I'll just do a new one. So it'll be nice and easy. Switch out. Okay. So on the very last slide, of our afternoon session slides, I added, so there's the morning slides link for you, so you have that. But I also added a share here link, which just goes to a different Padlet page. So if you think about one thing that you created today that you want to share, if you could just post a link to it here, whether if it's a Google form, you can just share the link there. If it's a Kahoot, you can post a link to it. If you're not sure, I can come over and help you figure out a way, depending on what it is.
So easy to get all that pressure. You're calculating.
Yours is the Kahoot, right? get it up
There's no picture.
Oh, yes.
I mean, no, honest.
Oh, that's okay.
Well, only let me add like 2, and then it said I had to upgrade. So I was like, I don't want to have 2 pictures and then there's more.
And then it's empty.
And then it's just, I'm going
As a reward.
Alright, you can come up and you can use this one. Well, I'll grab my phone so I can join the game.
Okay. Please go to Kahoot. 30600113.
Make sure you go to kahoot.it. If you go to kahoot.com, I'll bring you the main feed.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Who's lowercase? Daddy.
So as long as Kiki Alex.
Oh, now we got all caps Kiki.
Also, in the settings of Kahoot, you can randomize names. So if you have students who are going to be embarrassed about their name being up there, you can give them like avatar type names.
Oh, I've seen that.
Walker, you want
Okay,
that?
do I have everyone that wants to play? Everybody ready?
I missed the vote. That was supposed to be Kiki. Yeah.
Ed Tech. You have 20 seconds for each question. What is one of the resources we learned about today? Padlet, a ruler, bananas, or blueberry skin?
I think I heard about blueberry skin.
I didn't have one, guys. It was delicious. I'm in the blueberry skin.
Well, now I'm confused.
You can hear the volume a little bit if you want to too. I think you have to wait till the next screen. Oh, there you go.
Educational technology can help students to learn more effectively. Let's see which Kiki's winning. Alright, still, is that real Kiki?
Yeah, that's me. Okay.
True or false? Technology should not be used in the classroom. Ooh, let's make sure that
Slap his face.
Maybe I made this a little too easy.
Oh, who's ahead of me? Who's lowercase?
Yeah.
Lowercase Kiki is on fire. Which of the following are true about what we learned about educational technology? There are many resources with free subscription options. EdTech can be used in any classroom setting, and EdTech helps kids to have fun in the classroom while also learning. Or all of the above.
Always all of the above.
Woo!
That's a very good quiz. I like this quiz.
Yeah. Okay, Kiki. Oh,
What? Yes.
new Kiki.
I'm back.
I'm trying to slow my
Alright. What should you do first when planning to use technology? Say a small prayer and perform an interpretive dance. Have a goal in mind and try for the first time when you present to class.
I like
Go too fast.
Oh my, I still say a small prayer.
I mean, that's still a valid option, but just
Right.
not the best.
You're down to
Please. That fifth grade situation.
Oh!
Saturday.
Spell you.
That was too fast.
Alright, true or false? Educational technology sites always cost money.
False, it's not doing.
We learned about a lot of free resources, which is great, because we're all in college. Bonus, how many colors are there in the rainbow? Where'd you bid?
What do you mean 7?
I said no.
Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple,
Yeah.
violet.
Indigo.
Indigo,
orange,
indigo,
yellow.
violet.
When are we counting the
Rosie
goat?
bid.
Indigo,
Rosie
violet.
bid.
Objection!
And there's one more bonus question.
Aren't all the
This
questions-
one, technically you can't get it wrong. Oh wait, oh, just kidding. This one is an actual, this is something we learned. Talk about this, it was a quote.
Ah, you might fall.
It's capital I.
Okay, so my interaction.
I was gonna go scream. That seemed like the best answer.
Teacher error, my questions are out of order. So this one.
Oh, you
this
might
one
have
is this one is the one you can like it wrong, but you can. There's a right answer.
I got it.
Okay.
I was
They
so
were really
false.
good, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
They weren't like super dry.
Third place. Drum roll.
Yay,
Yay, bronze
I can't
medal.
compete.
Uppercase PP.
And
Lowercase PP.
I was really appreciating the quiz.
I'm doing Kiki that make podium, but I'm the real one.
yay! Thank you for taking my quiz.
Thank you, Starmark.
I like how you really applied.
I went back through that PowerPoint.
I could tell you had some good information there. But don't fall in the classroom.
I wanted to incorporate that, but I didn't want to know the question.
Failing forward, not necessarily falling forward, but I do fall. I am clumsy. Okay. All right. Who wants to go next? I'll just click one and go.
Hello. This is my Google Slides presentation of what I learned about Google Slides. So first, I had to change the background of the slide. It's like a beach, so I chose the Grey's Anatomy beach. And then, you ready?
Did you animate it? Oh, there you go. It's even transparent.
There it goes! Streaming out! It's found away. Next, I had to compare and contrast these two oceans. I did a lot of research, and the Atlantic Ocean is between North America and Europe and Africa, while the Pacific Ocean is between North America and Asia. However, they are both an ocean. It's good to know. These are the places I would like to visit. I would like to visit Iceland, Alaska, Brazil, Australia, but like when there's less spiders, Greece, because Big Mama a fan, and Antarctica seems kind of cool. So this is the food I do not enjoy eating. No tomatoes.
Oh,
this is an apple. You can't see it very well. I didn't know how to change the color.
I see it.
That's my apple.
It's very hard to sketch with that tool, so
Yeah.
it's actually pretty impressive.
It's gray on gray.
Ooh, look at
See
that.
that? And then my favorite holiday tradition is my family has a gingerbread making like house contest. So that's pretty fun. I never win, but I try. This is a collage of my favorite things. Look, huge Target fan, big Target fan. I really like sharks. I like to raise chickens. I enjoy pizza. I like to lift weights. Love sunflowers. And I occasionally play hockey.
Awesome.
So fun
Don't
things.
put the chickens near the shark.
No, they need to remain separate.
How tomatoes.
This is a trailer on Dr. Seuss. We've all seen it, so I'm not going to play it, but it's there. Look at that.
Actually, not seen
Let's go. Oh no.
that. Actually, not seen that.
Not good. And now we're going to learn about my 5 favorite films. We get number 1, Mamma Mia.
Oh, you easy pick.
Classic. The Wedding Ringer. If you haven't seen it, recommend. Hilarious. Not very appropriate, but hilarious. We have Mulan. Animated.
Okay, because I'm not happy about Mushu.
No. And we're not singing.
That's the whole point of this.
She doesn't become a man until they tell her to. Through song. No. We have The Birdcage. Classic. Love it. Love Robin Williams. And finally, we have Rocket Man. Ellen Jones. Great guy. And that's it. Thank you.
She's an older soul than what she realized.
But it's all that.
What?
That's what they're really saying. They're older soul than what you realize.
Oh, I'm a real old soul. You should my music taste.
Okay. Would you want to do a screen test?
Oh, you did story board.
I can do it this way. You gotta be all tricky on me in PowerPoint. The way it works for you. Maybe if I open it this way.
as far as kiki. But
Woo!
Woo! Woo! Look at it go! I didn't do the research part, but there's the diagram. So places I would like to go is California, Alaska, Hawaii, Colorado, Florida, New York, and then I live in Massachusetts, so I started.
Ooh, you can check that one out.
Food I don't like to eat is I do not like fish. And that's as far as it goes. We hate fish.
That's my favorite slide. It was like a pretty good looking plate too. I thought it was
sorry, but I think I would.
You know
That's really fun.
I know
you
you
know
don't
what
like
fish
fish,
was?
but that doesn't mean we can't all like fish.
Yeah.
Miss Peter.
We love this beers.
Story
Like,
for
pause.
that.
What's going on?
As you can see, I
I don't know why it's not open, but it's playing. Okay. Oh, because it's playing here. That's why. Okay, I got it. Okay, it was playing in the background.
I love voiceover so
Okay, you can come press play. You can turn the volume
I
up.
didn't bring my raincoat.
Oh, it's raining.
Yeah.
Thinking the same thing.
we did not
So
make that
far
right.
away.
Ryan's all the way
Yeah.
up. So if you can't hear it,
Alright, we'll be quiet.
This is a website we learned. It's called Storyboard That. As you can see, I made my storyboard. We've got our dude in this jail cell right here. He went to jail because he stole a lot of jewelry from K's Jewelers that begins with K. And it's daytime. And this poster right here, he loves that poster. He writes on it. He does his little tally mark ticks, counting the days till he's out. Oh no, it's nighttime. Where did he go? There's a hole in the wall. Oh no, the poster was just a distraction. Oh, he's in a car now. He's changed his outfit. He's winking at us. Did he break out of jail? The world may never know.
User skill.
Is that Shawshank Redemption? What? Is that Shawshank Redemption?
oh no, where did he go?
Alright, last but not least, we have a choose your own adventure
Should
story.
we do it all together?
I was wondering that.
Or should we have it like. I'm sure.
I think we should probably easy to do it all together.
Okay.
Make it bigger. There you go.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Alright. So, this is math related. You are a Sodexo employee at FPU. Pizza Ian has been kidnapped and it's up to you to find him. Where do you look first? In the produce fridge or the freezer?
So let's do a vote. So
Yeah.
are you looking in the produce fridge or the freezer?
Produce
Hands up for produce fridge.
fridge.
Hands up for freezer. Okay, we'll go to the produce fridge. You are frantically searching for Pizza Ian before the dinner rush comes through. Marilyn is in there with a knife and tries to kill you. You run to the freezer and slam it shut to avoid certain death. Shut the door. Pick this to go to the freezer. All good on that.
Yeah,
So we
Oh,
picked
we
the
went to the
wrong
wrong
option.
location.
Yeah, but we escaped certain death.
Okay, good.
You walk in and the lights are off, the door slams behind you. Peggy has kidnapped Pizza Ian, is freezing him to death, and now you are her next victim. The only way out is if you answer her question below. Which of these numbers is a composite number? 1.5, 47, 91.
91.
Hands up for 1.5. Hands up for 47. Hands up for 91.
Wait, no, wait. That's a composite. Yeah, can we divide it?
So prime number, as we learned in class this week, prime number can only be divided by one in itself. The composite number can be divided by another whole number.
Divided by.
It's gotta be 91.
So
I mean, 91.
hands up for 1.5. Hands up for 47. Hands up for 91. Okay, 91 was alright. That's a relief. You got Peggy's question right, and now she wants your help before releasing Pizza Ian. Silly Peggy accidentally locked all three of you in the freezer, but the code to get out is a challenging problem requiring 10 minutes. You only have time to answer it once before you freeze. Can you save all three of you? Take a few minutes. You want to talk together and then give us a final answer. Cassie, don't.
Me too. I like squid.
And I refuse to wear my glasses
ever. I'm going with 33.
Parentheses first, right? Now, I'm not a math major. If I do, and I used to teach math, but it's been a while. So if I do that, now do I multiply this first or that first?
Either way, that's
Does it matter? Just go in order. It's been a while.
I think once you get out of the parentheses, it goes in order of multiplication. So
From left to
you
right.
do parentheses. Actually, I'm not going to answer.
I think it's 33.
All right, hands up for 33. Okay, hands up for 3,200. Hands up for 32. Hands up for 132. 33. That's right. You did it! You freed the Sodexo Big Three. As a thank you, Kyle, the manager, offers you a reward. You are awarded 3 meals total: 1 breakfast worth $3.25 and 2 dinners worth $5.15 each. How much money is that total?
Oh, I times the first one by 2 seconds. Okay,
No, I think we're good. I think we're
All
probably
right,
there.
hands up for 840. Hands up for 1030. Hands up for 1355.
What did we get wrong? Yeah.
Bon appetit. Enjoy your meals. Thanks for saving PT, and you guys did it. Great job. What? That's right. You got it right. You didn't get it right because you raised your hand, I guess.
What happens if you get it wrong? Can we go back?
Yeah, so find
Just
out.
a little.
What, this one?
Yeah.
You just get to try that one again.
Wrong, you still get the food.
Yeah. There's a few other ones where you can die.
The names that you use, are there people?
Yes, they all are.
I love it.
I went to a campus community.
Peggy's my girl.
So let's see what happens if we got the pause number wrong.
Pizza Ian. So you call
This is the end of the road.
This is if we would have got it wrong at some point.
So in some paths you die, other paths you just still get food.
So the only way to still get the food is if you have to get the deposit right, and you have to get these are not in order.
Right.
Alright, you have to get like 3 questions right to get the pizza. To get the food. Anything else, you die.